Good afternoon, YouTube. This is Chuck, and it's Thursday, June 12th, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's a little bit toasty out here in the van. It's been closed up all day, and I opened the windows up and get some air through here, but it looks like I'm a little warm. It's probably because I am. It's probably in the mid-90s in here. But I've got some more emails and updates and things for you. I know you like that. This will be a Bigfoot Stuff video. And this stuff all has happened in the last 3 days. And since that last one that I put up. So we start off on June 10th, which was Tuesday. And got a couple things to tell you about that happened that day. So I got my notes down here like always, and I got my laptop. And I'm going to be reading some stuff to you off the laptop. See if I can keep this camera focused in the right spot here. Well, I started off on Tuesday, and first thing in the morning with a phone call from my friend in Utah, and he has about a 20-minute commute from his house to his office, and so a lot of times he'll give me a call from his car while he's driving to work, and he knows I'm up pretty early, and so he'll get to fill me in on any details and on his whatever his latest contacts have been, or his latest lessons with Roheen. And so he did that, and I don't recall anything that particularly stood out. It was all pretty normal type stuff. But then I opened my computer up and I had some emails. And the first one was from a lady from Oklahoma. And I'm going to read that one to you. Now, she contacted me a while back, and she was wanting to mail me something, and I hadn't got back to her yet. I wasn't quite sure why she'd want to mail me something, and so anyways, so she went ahead and told me the story in an email, which was just fine. And let me read this to you. I think I can see better without my glasses, I think. Let me take my glasses off. So she says, here's a lengthy email of my story. Like I told you, my husband and I built a log house on 13 acres of pine trees. It was built on a house overlooking a valley. The view was beautiful. Since we were on a hill, the rural water was very slow, and after 5 p.m. even slower. My husband heard about using a septic tank turned upside down as a storage tank, which worked very well. He was working as a cross-country truck driver at the time and was gone one weekend when an early freeze came. Our water pump was in the garage, which he had not winterized yet. When I got up and found the water frozen, I went to the garage to find the pump froze. I had placed a small floor heater in front of it to thaw it. He called that morning and when I told him the situation, he said, "Go out and turn off that heater. If the pipe is cracked, it'll flood." As I went out the door, I could hear the water. It was flooding. I went over to the pump and turned off the water, and looking down, saw the heater overturned in the water. It's an electric heater. Panicking, I instantly thought of the dog getting electrocuted, not even thinking I was standing in the water also. I rushed over to unplug the heater, and there laid the plug on the workbench. How was that unplugged? I went back later, after it was dried, to check about the plug, and it was tight and hard to get out of the socket. It had not just fallen out. I've always thought maybe my guardian angel was doing his job, and now knowing about the forest people, and knowing you were able to receive answers and names, I wonder if you could get an answer for me. All I need to know is a yes or no if someone was guarding over me. I know you said they are all probably gone for the big gathering. That will be the summer solstice gathering that we think is going on. So sometime, if you think they would answer, could you please ask for me? And she spoke earlier about a book, and she said about somebody named Mike said his teacher was Blanda, that they're always with you, and said that the forest people have a collective mind, and they are all connected. So when you talk to one, you're talking to all. Is that not amazing? There is so much to learn from and about the forest people. Thank you. First of all, we do understand that they have a collective consciousness, or sometimes called a hive mentality. And it's kind of like they have their own little internet, and they're not always on it, but they can always go to it when they need to, and if they need to find an answer about something. And we have no idea how that works, but we believe that that is true, that is existence. So I have no idea how that plug could have got out of that receptacle to prevent that water heater from electrifying or becoming an electrocution hazard in that building when that pipe broke. So I'll let you come to your own conclusion on that. But somehow somebody or other than them unplugged that plug. So we don't know for sure, but that's the email that I got. So let me go on to the next one. And this next one is a lady from Florida that I read an email from her last time, and so she sent me another one. She says, Chuck, I do hope this is not too long, but I feel it must be said. Anything to do with the forest people needs to be shared, so I write to you. It's just too exciting to keep inside. I am more and more in amazement when I learn about the forest people, especially through you and your contact stories too. So I want to share more I have not before. I'm emailing because I think it's easier for you, so you don't struggle to remember what all your people are sharing through calls, text, etc. And that is good. I do appreciate that. I get a lot of stuff, and my old mind doesn't register all of it, and I'm not always real good about taking notes. So here goes. I do hope you don't get tired of hearing these, but I believe every person's experience adds to the bigger picture, and that we are increasing our awareness of what is truly around us all the time, that we deal with this maturely, spiritual generosity, trust, and welcome a species who has obviously always existed and is seemingly now making more contact with more people for their own reasons collectively. And I trust their spiritual reasoning over humans every day, any day. Before I learn about the forest people, before the chocolate incident, and let me tell you about the chocolate incident, because I'm not sure I talked about that before, but for a while there, they were apparently trying to get her attention. And they were doing some pretty outlandish things to get her attention. And one of the things they did is, when she was sleeping in her bed one night, is they smeared chocolate all over her pillow and all over her sheets. Now, she normally kept a little piece of chocolate on the bedside at night in case she woke up in the middle of the night with a craving. But it was not that piece of chocolate. That piece of chocolate was untouched. And to this day, she's not sure where that chocolate she came from. But they smeared it all over her bedding and made a heck of a mess. And of course, the normal person would think that was something kind of demonic or something, but it apparently was the forest people, and they were being pranksters, and that was just something they kind of did to get her attention and trying to let her know that they were there. And I helped her make contact later on after that happened. So let me go on. And I contacted you for the first time to see if I could find out from your Sasquatch connections if they were the ones responsible for this in my home, since I got no answers from anything else. Like your friend Andy, I think she's speaking about somebody else. I'm not sure who she's speaking of, but here. I have had a mix of both positive and negative energies here, but much less negative now. I, like you said, feel that they are giving me protection from that too. Shaking my head in awe, as it seems the scope of their abilities far exceeds our understanding. You said, amongst all the things I mentioned going on here, that it was all textbook Sasquatch stuff that they do. I have to say, besides the chocolate incident, which looked like a toddler had a field day on my bed, it was the pine cones 2 years ago. I was finding pine cones stuffed in the Y branches of the trees I planted around my house. My home is 5 acres, edged by pine trees, but none near the house, so I never find cones here. I have to walk out to pick them up by the trees so I can mow, and I often get 1,500 pine cones at a time, but never are found around the house. Pine cones don't fly. But the first time I saw a pine cone stuck in the Y of a tree, my stomach lurched with something like dread. I don't know why, but every pine cone I found gave me that sensation. One of the most amazing ones was from my back door, which is full glass sliding doors. I can watch outside, and I saw hummingbirds making a nest in a thick jasmine bush I have as an archway entrance to a circular garden. The arch is very thick and grows quickly and needs to be trimmed, which is done with a small chainsaw that I have my housemate do. I warned him to first check for hummingbirds as I saw them going in and out, so there must be a nest in there. I went in to check myself, and yes, it was there, and right next to it was a pine cone. Again, my stomach lurched, because who could know this? And why place a pine cone in a most impossible place? I, as a human, decided there was someone coming around the place, but we never saw anything. However, I still found pine cones stuffed in the azalea bush beneath my bedroom window and in odd places only I would find. Who is doing this? This is one of many strange things going on here, but the pine cones placed around disturbed me, and I didn't feel safe. I felt exposed and that someone was playing games. Sasquatch people were never even close to my mind at all at that point. After speaking with you and listening to many, many others and their experiences, it looked like it was likely them, since no human was interested in my property anyway, and I learned that the Sasquatch like to do things like that. But I still wondered why I felt such a terror or intense creepy feeling, overwhelmed upon seeing each and every one, how cleverly all those pine cones were placed around my property. Especially, who could see the tiny hummingbird nest hid in the jasmine bush archway? No one could see that. So this had an element of something supernatural. I just didn't understand my terror at this point. Yet the supernatural has always been a part of my world. Now, since November of 2024, after speaking with you and listening to others, it is only clearly the Sasquatch people, but I still wondered at the feeling of terror finding each pine cone. There's also been a really creepy feeling in these parts I never felt anywhere else. A little girl and her mother moved into a house nearby after me, and she also spoke all the time of the creepy feeling here. They ended up moving out. I have come to feel that creepy feeling is how us mortal humans respond to an otherworldly energy presence, because we are so terrestrial to Earth, and the Sasquatch are something supernatural in themselves. So my human body responded in terror. Now, after months of learning about them, it could only be them placing those pine cones, but I feel the otherworldly energy of finding each pine cone my body translated into terror. I am ashamed now of my instinctual response being terror, but this is obviously built into our system to feel this with Sasquatch energies. Many people go to hunting, camping, etc. Always say they feel a creepy feeling too when the Sasquatch are present, so it is a common issue, or pattern. Another thing worthy of mention again is before November 2024, before learning of the existence of the forest people, is that because of the intense bodily pains I have had from chronic fatigue syndrome or fibromyalgia and my compromised nervous system, I spent many hours laying down. My whole life had been busy as most people, work, school, gym, etc., then crashing at night. But now I stay home, and because I have no choice, I lay down and listen to gardening videos, slow life videos, and now Sasquatch encounters. This has helped me with feeling better, less pains, and slowly healing my nervous system. But as I laid down, I would often feel someone laying next to me, behind me, and watching my Kindle as I watch videos or listen to podcasts. I felt someone quietly lying there. Someone with very gentle energy, and I would just smile to myself and continue to watch, just thinking I was imagining this often. This went on for a long time before I learned of the forest people. Now learning of the forest people, I believe one of them was indeed there with me, since I know now that they are fully capable of this. I still get the sensation to this day, and I don't try to have conversation with them, since I know they're just there with me listening. I allow them to just listen and watch with me, and to just be, as your Utah friend says, and we talked about that before. Sometimes I speak to them and I say, you see why this makes me cry? Watching people do kind things for others, this is the only thing that brings me tears. I used to ask myself, who am I speaking to? And just shake my head, smile, and continue, but now I know. And lastly, Chuck, I do not like to go out on my small my small 8x10 deck to speak with them now. I just feel good doing that. And I do speak of things like spiritual war happening on this earth, and that so many good people are suffering from pains, ailments, accidents, etc. that they didn't ask for. And physical pain can not only maim the body, but the spirit as well, when it is too intense for too long. So I asked them, they are so fully capable of healing, and know so many people out there that are from the inside their true hearts. If they healed these people, more and more good people would be able to apply their goodness to the world instead of degenerating from disease and chronic unbearable pains. And once healed, these people would for sure spend more of their time doing more wonderful things, even for nothing else, then their personal vibration would be higher, and this alone would contribute to the world turning around to be a more harmonious place to live for us all. I've told them how happy I am to hear of them healing some people, of those who recount their experiences. I've said this to you too, Chuck, and this brings me to tears and gratitude for them, and I wish for many more to be healed. If the forest people work more with human people, these good hearts out there, the tides of the spiritual war on earth can be turned. I ask them to help as many as they can, and they know they can help. And this goes on a little bit further. And then she says, I just wanted you to know there's more going on out here on my end, with my heart connecting more with theirs, and if nothing else happens, then I know I've aligned myself with something good. You may share this or not as you wish, but I want you to know my prayers. Blessings to you. Isn't that cool? A little bit long, but boy, that's pretty cool, and I wanted to read it to you and share it to you. That's exactly how I received it. Well, then later on that day, we're still on Tuesday. Later on that day, I had a phone call in the evening with a lady up in Nevada who I call Elaine. So that was a pretty busy Tuesday, and she told me about some stuff that's going on her end, and that was pretty interesting as well. So now we'll go up to Tuesday morning. Tuesday morning, bright and early, I got a text message from a fellow that I'm dealing with lives in Northern California in the Bay Area. And so he was telling me about some contacts that he'd had, and he was asking them what they wanted him to do. And one of the things they told him that they wanted him to do was to help them chase away the devil. Or chase away evil, not the devil. Chase away evil. And so he said, how am I supposed to do that? And they said, well, when time comes, they will tell him. And he and I also chatted or texted back and forth regarding the summer solstice gathering that we believe is going on. And they told him that it was going to be one place, and it was a little bit different than what we'd heard before. And we're still not sure. We think it's going on, but we're not sure exactly where. And so he was being told it was going to be someplace in the upper Midwest. And but we're not 100% sure of that. And we've been told a couple different places, and there's a pretty good chance they don't necessarily want us to know where it's at anyway, because they don't want any humans that are to go try to crash their party. A little bit after that morning, I got an email from a fella from, of all places, El Salvador. And he basically was telling me he's very interested in the subject, and he's never been out camping, and he wants to learn about it, and he wants to go out camping. And I'm sure that all the things that work here work down there as well. So, I don't really know. He wasn't really asking me for anything specific. He was just kind of letting me know that he was interested. But that's cleared on El Salvador. That's pretty interesting. I don't know that I've got anything from there before. So then, a little bit later on, I got a text message from a lady I've been dealing with that's up in Washington. And she wanted me to reach out to see if I could confirm a name for her, because she believed that she was in communication with a female that's name was Farmy Ann, and that she's 43 years old, and that she was possibly going to be this lady's teacher. And she apparently asked for a teacher, and she thinking maybe Farmy Ann is going to be her teacher. Well, I haven't been able to get any information back on that, but if I do, I'll get back with her on that. So then we got a little bit later, I traded text with my lady that I call Elle from Eastern Arizona, and she just came back from a lengthy stay in California, and she's back on her rural property again, or back to her rural property, but there's been quite a bit of rodent damage over there, so she's having to stay in town. But she's had some kind of really disturbing dreams the last couple of nights involving coyotes. And she asked me what I thought that might have meant. And so after she explained it to me, I kind of gave her what I thought it might be meaning, and I told her, go when you go out to your property, ask them if that's right, if that's what that means, because it was a little bit disturbing. And anyway, without going into a bunch of detail, it's just something involving coyotes, and one of them was kind of vicious, and the rest of them weren't. And so, not sure what it really meant. What I told her is I think that it means that there's not a universal agreement within the family group about how much contact they should have with her, and that there was one of them that probably thought they shouldn't be having contact with her at all, and that was kind of how they were showing that to her in the dream. But I asked her I suggested a couple questions to ask her to see if she could maybe get a more clear answer to that, rather than just some kind of disturbing dream. So now we let's see. So now that was Wednesday. So now let's go to this morning. Well, a couple days ago I talked about that I had one named Roberta show up at my house in the middle of the night, and that she worked on my left knee, and that I'd been having problems with both my knees, and that my left knee was fine now, and that but she got scared away before she worked on my right knee. Well, the next night, I woke up the next day, and my right knee was quite a bit better. It wasn't perfect, but it was quite a bit better, and so I kind of thought maybe she'd been back, but that time she just didn't wake me up. She just did another healing on me while I was sleeping. Well, all the time, all during the day on Wednesday, my knee was pretty good. And I even went shopping, wandered all over the super Walmart picking up stuff for the wife. But toward the end of the evening, boy, my knee really, really started hurting again. And it was hurting so bad I couldn't put any weight on it. It was hard to walk. And so I was really wondering what the heck's going on there. So last night, I went to bed, and middle of the night I woke up. My bladder woke me up like it usually does. And when I came back, I laid back down, and my knee was just throbbing. And I could hardly walk from the bed to the bathroom, and it just hurt like the devil to put any weight on that knee at all. And that'd be my right knee. My left knee was still fine, and so I knew that must mean something. I didn't know what it might mean, but anyway, I was laying there and trying to get back to sleep and trying to get comfortable, and my knee's throbbing, and I heard the click, and so I reached out and I asked Roberta, "Is this you? Or are you there?" And it was not Roberta, and I think it was a male. And he wouldn't tell me his name. And so I asked him, I said, Roberta came, and I think she worked on my knee, and my knee's been fine, but now my knee's hurting again. And, is there any way that maybe she could come back and work on it again or something? And he told me pretty clear in mind speak. He told me that you have the power to heal that yourself. And wow. And then he gave me a visual, and the visual he gave me was a big ground beef patty on the grill, but it had a square of butter on top of it. And I usually don't cook my hamburgers that way, my burger patties that way. And so I wondered if that was maybe a hint that maybe I'm on the carnivore diet, and maybe I'm just not getting enough fat. I need a little more fat in my diet, and so maybe I need to put butter on my hamburger patties. But that was basically all that happened. And I went to sleep, and when I woke up later on, my knee was a little better. It still hurt pretty bad, but it had a hard time going down the stairs. But it got a little bit better, a little more limber during the morning. And when I went up to take a shower, I stood in the shower for a while with water spraying on my knee just as hot as I could stand it, and that seemed to help quite a bit. And so I'm still able to walk. My knee still hurts a little bit, but I tell you one thing I did do when I cooked my 2 burger patties for my early meal, my carnivore lunch today, I put a square of butter on each one. I don't know if that helped, but my knee doesn't seem to hurt quite as bad this afternoon. So that's something that happened just this morning involving me, and it ties in with the stuff that we talked about in the last video and the stuff I've been talking about in my community page post in the morning. So let's go to the next one. Okay, next one is another email. Let me see if I can find that one for you. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out. I got them out. I got them out of order on my list here. Let me back up and tell you about another one first. Oh, now my computer's arguing with me. I'm sorry for that. Okay, this is I'm back where when I was there. This is a lady from Michigan, and she emailed me and she says, "I finally found your email and wanted to reach out to you. I was hoping to speak to you on the phone. I'm trying to reach out and find some answers, but not comfortable in a group chat. Lots of woo stuff, so please do not share. If you have time, could you please call me? My number is blah blah blah." Well, I did call her, and I had quite a lengthy conversation with her. And she's having some kind of interesting stuff that's happened up at her place, and so that's just another one kind of to add to the mix. So now we'll get back in the proper order of things here. Okay, this is another email. It's from another lady that I've worked with, and she's from New Jersey, and I helped her a while back. I notice I'm getting shiny here. I'm sweating a little bit. Like I said, it's kind of warm in here. Anyway, I helped her a while back. I walked her through the process of contact, and it worked. And she made contact with a Sasquatch couple, and the male told her his name was George, and the female's name was Nala. And so she's had some back and forth with them since when I talked to her before. But this is something new that she wanted to tell me about. Let me read it to you. Just thought I would update you on some incredible recent activity I've experienced since we last spoke. I didn't really think I was going to hear from them again, but wow, wait till you hear this. And as I'm typing this, it just froze for a minute or two. Well, that might be them saying hi. We spoke on a Monday, and it was 2 days later on a Wednesday that I had actual audible mind speak. I got up and saw that it was raining, and I decided to go back to bed and lay down for a while. As I'm laying there relaxed and trying to go back to sleep, I heard the tiniest little voice say, "Hi." It was practically a whisper, but I definitely heard it. Now, the interesting thing about this mind speak is that simultaneously, while I'm hearing the word hi, I also heard an electrical current. I didn't feel anything, but I heard the sound electricity makes. I'm not quite sure how to explain what it sounded like, but you know what I mean. It was like a zzz sound. Has that ever happened to you when you've experienced mind speak? Just wondering. The answer, no, it hasn't. I haven't heard like the electrical buzzing sound, and I do know what you mean. Okay, now to the craziest part. To be honest, when I heard that mind speak from George and Nala that you helped initiate, I wasn't quite convinced whether it was them or me coming up with these names in my head. So I'm driving around a couple of days later, and I just call out to them and ask, "Hey, George and Nala, do you hear me when I'm speaking to you? Can you somehow let me know that you hear me when I'm talking to you?" I put the question out there and just let it go. Now, a day or two later, I went to Walmart because I had to buy some bananas. And now she says, or I guess it's bandanas. Originally I thought she said bananas, but I think it's bandanas. I could have gone to a number of stores like Target, Michael's, and the dollar store, but for some reason I felt compelled to go to Walmart. Now I get to the section where the bandanas are. I still thought it said bananas. On the display, next to the bandanas, are a bunch of baseball hats. I like to walk in the summer and I like to have some protection for my head, so I have a couple of baseball hats that I wear. Among the baseball hats, I noticed one particular hat of interest. It was a hat with a Bigfoot on it. I looked at it with some interest briefly, but decided not to get it. As I'm walking away for some reason, I felt compelled to go back and look at it again. I don't own any Bigfoot hats or clothing or anything like that, so I thought that this might be a nice first collectible piece. It was only $10, so I got it. Also, I don't know about Arizona, but Bigfoot clothing and memorabilia is not very popular here in New Jersey, so it was really something to come across that Bigfoot hat. I returned home, and later that night, I fished the hat out of the bag. I took the cardboard out of it, I cut the price tag off, adjusted the snaps, and was fitting it into my head. After that, I just happened to look on the inside of the hat at the tag, because sometimes I cut them out too. Chuck, I don't even have words. I was in shock, and my jaw must have hit the floor. Do you know what the name of the company is that makes that particular Bigfoot hat from Bangladesh? It's called George. I kid you not. I'm enclosing the receipt and a picture of the hat and the tag on the inside as proof. You can see from the date on the receipt, it was sometime after you and I spoke that I purchased it. It's been several days and I'm still kind of in shock. I knew that their abilities were incredible, but I can't get over this. This is just amazing. This was no doubt the confirmation I was asking for. I'm enjoying your carnivore videos. Keep up the good work. Let me know what you think about these happenings. Well, you know, I've decided a long time ago that there's no such thing as a coincidence. So the fact that she felt compelled to go to this store to get bandanas, not bananas, and the fact that that hat was there, she felt compelled to buy it, and then when she got home, she turned it over, and the name inside the hat was the same as the name of the Sasquatch that she's been speaking with. You know, that's, believe what you will, or write it off to a weird coincidence or whatever you want to do. But I think it's pretty amazing, and I think she thinks it's pretty amazing as well. And it definitely made me smile. So let's go down to, I got one last one. And this morning I got an email from a guy that wants to talk to me. And the phone number he left me, it was an Arizona area code, so I'm not quite sure where he's from. But I went ahead and emailed him back, or texted him back actually to that number, and asked him if he had time to talk. And he texted me back and said that he's at work right now and he's kind of tied up, but he's going to call me this evening. So that's another one. So I'm not sure how many stories there are in that bunch today, but as you can see, the last 3 days have been pretty busy. And I figured you'd appreciate hearing about it, and especially appreciate me reading you those emails, because they're, as we say, they're pretty darned interesting. And so I'm going to talk to this gentleman this evening, and he said that he and his wife have had some experiences that he'd like to share with me. So I guess that's enough for now, and as I always tell you, take care of each other and love each other. And I've got a bunch of stuff I want to do, and I need to change the oil on my truck and my new truck. But boy, with this knee's hurting bad enough, I don't want to be crawling underneath vehicles and getting up and down. And so I'm going to give it a couple days to get better. So I guess with that, I'll let you go. It's hot and steamy in here. And I'll talk to you again when I got some more to tell you about. So until I talk to you again, let me just tell you, peace out.